Hey everybody, welcome to SLO City Church at home, online. We are wrapping up our In My Feelings series today, talking about happiness and joy. And before we jump in, I've got a few announcements for you. Number one, Easter is less than a month away, and we are really excited to celebrate together outdoors at 1150 Laurel Lane and online. This is a huge opportunity for you and I to invite our friends, our neighbors, our coworkers, our family to gather together to celebrate the hope that is found in Jesus. We invite you to do that. Share this image, share the link, share the news that we are celebrating Easter together, April 4th. We couldn't be more excited. Second announcement is this week, our women's ministry begins their Seamless study, and there's still room for you to register. Make sure you go to slocity.church/groups to sign up for that Seamless study, or really to jump into community in general. We want to be a together people that grows together more and more like Jesus. March 16th is our guys' night at Top Tracer in SLO. There's still room for you to sign up. We're going to have a great time hitting golf balls into the night, eating good food, and spending good time together. That's March 16th. Make sure you register. As always, SLO City Church exists because of our collective generosity. We want to continue to make steps to growing to financial health and self-sustainability. And so if generosity is on your heart, you can set up recurring giving today at slocity.church/give or through the online mobile app. Your gifts, your tithes, your offerings, your sacrifice, our collective giving makes a real difference inside our church and outside the walls of our church in our community. Thanks for being a part of that with us. As we said, we are stepping into our last week of In My Feelings series, talking about happiness and joy. We are so glad that you're here with us. Let's worship together.
I would be hopeless without your goodness. I would be desperate without your love, slave to the darkness. If it wasn't for the cross, you have won me with your kindness. You chased me down when I was lost. And where would I be if it wasn't for the cross? Hallelujah. Thank you, Jesus. I was a prisoner, now I'm not. And with your blood you bought my freedom. Hallelujah for the cross. And all my shame was met with mercy, and now your mercy will be my song. Oh, the glory, oh, the power of the cross. Oh, hallelujah. Thank you, Jesus. I was a prisoner, now I'm not. With your blood you bought my freedom. Hallelujah for the cross. And by your stripes I'm healed, and by your death I live. The power of sin is overcome. It is finished, it is done. By your stripes I'm healed, and by your death I live. The power of sin is overcome. It is finished, it is done. By your stripes I'm healed, and by your death
Hey everyone, welcome to SLO City Church at home, online, wherever you are. My name is Brent, and I'm humbled to be one of the pastors here in this season. We are really excited because just in a few short weeks, on April 4th, we get to celebrate Easter together, both online, at home, right where you are, and in person at 1150 Laurel Lane. I want to invite you to that, and I want to encourage you, challenge you to invite somebody else. Maybe share that with somebody else. Share the at-home experience with somebody else, or invite somebody to the parking lot outdoors at Laurel Lane at 10:30 a.m. It's going to be an incredible time to celebrate the resurrection of Jesus. Our church exists to help people find and follow Jesus. We want to be people that live the way of Jesus and bring hope to everyone. And I'm really excited to be with you today as we wrap up our series entitled In My Feelings. We've been talking and navigating this series together, all about emotions. We live in a world of emotions, and we've talked about the reality that it's really easy to get pulled out to sea, swept up and caught up in our emotions. And we've talked about this importance of making sure that we handle our emotions in health before our emotions handle us. And we've started every week with this kind of guiding line or a definition of sorts that we say emotions are a gift. Emotions are a gift intended to grow us and guide us to health, to a healthy view of ourselves, to a healthy view of God, to healthy relationships with others. Emotions are a gift meant to be handled well. Before we start today and wrap up this series together, a really quick poll. There are 5 core emotions that we've talked about. Anger, shame, fear, sadness, and happiness or joy, okay? Anger, shame, fear, sadness, and happiness. So wherever you are, with whoever you're around, I want to take a quick poll. Which emotion is your favorite to experience? Which emotion is it? Maybe drop it in the chat if you're with us, or tell somebody next to you. Which emotion would you prefer? Happiness, sadness, fear, anger, or shame? Which one? I think we would all agree that I want happy. I want to experience and I want to feel happy. I don't want to be sad. I don't want to experience like shame. I don't want to be afraid. I don't really enjoy feeling angry. I like happiness. Maybe you're like me, and you would pick, out of the 5, you would pick happiness. You know, because we all get this. We want happy. When one of your kids walks in the door and they are full, their eyes are welled up with tears, you say, what's wrong? What's wrong? I don't want you to be sad. I want you to smile. I want you to laugh. I want you to be happy. I want to take these hard feelings away in me and around me when people are upset, because we like happiness. We believe that it is the best emotion to feel. And I think you're with me. Maybe you voted the right way. And the reality is we live in a culture consumed with this idea, with this desire to feel, to experience happiness, to get happy. We see it everywhere, this pursuit of happiness. From Peter Pan, when he said, "Think happy thoughts," to the song that Marshmello wrote. Yeah, that's an artist named Marshmello, saying, "I want you to be happier. I want you to," right? We hear that song, Pharrell's hit song that was in Minions or Despicable Me, that says, "Because I'm happy," right? And it like the reality is Spotify users played that song over 870 million times. We've heard the sayings, happy wife, happy life. And one of the most popular podcasts in the country right now is this podcast called the 10% Happier Podcast by Dan Harris. I've listened to it. It's decent. It's pretty good. But the reality is we live in a culture that is consumed with the idea of happiness, to get happy, to feel happy. We want that emotion more than any other emotion. So we have this tendency to chase it, to try and buy it, to try and plan for it, to think about it. It's the reason ski resorts exist. It's the reason that we go and sit around a big screen. It's the reason that we partake in sporting events. It's those club memberships. It's the people and the parties and the places and the accolades and the resorts and the retreats. We are consumed and we are desperate to feel happy. It's written in our Constitution. In the foundational lines of the founding document of the United States of America, we read that real life is found when we are free, life, liberty, and in a full-on pursuit of happiness. It's our God-given right to chase and to get and to find happiness. So we do. We build our lives around getting happy. We spend our money and our time, and we build relationships to try and feel happy. Have you thought about this? We can live our entire lives, make decisions, have relationships, spend all of our years centered around finding this feeling to get happy. And still, in the pursuit of all of this happiness, have you noticed something culturally around us? Have you noticed something maybe internally? That there's something missing. I was reading this Washington Post article, and the title alone, I don't know if you just title browse, but the title alone just grabbed me. It said, "Americans are getting more miserable, and there's data to prove it." Americans are getting more miserable, and there's data, there's stats to prove it. In another article I read last week, the title read, "Our obsession with happiness is making our kids miserable." Our cultural obsession with happiness is actually affecting the next generation. Our obsession and our consumption with our desire, our desperation to consume happiness and to get happiness is actually affecting the people. It's making us miserable. It's making our kids miserable. That article shared research to prove that the typical American approach to the pursuit of happiness is far from helpful to our kids. It said anxiety and mental health problems in children and teens have been steadily increasing even before the pandemic. In fact, the more we obsess over happiness, the more we teach our kids to just stay positive without helping them learn how to navigate difficult emotions, the less we equip them with tools to manage life when it inevitably gets hard. And at worst, our obsession with happiness teaches our kids that upsetting feelings like sadness and fear and anxiety and despair are unacceptable and need to be numbed or silenced. See, we want to be happy. One of the 5 emotions, I want to feel happy. I want to be happier. I want to give happiness away. I want to be happy. And we are a culture obsessed with happiness. Is it hurting us, this obsession? Is it hurting us? See, we can pursue happiness and yet find ourselves more miserable. How? Are we missing something? Real quick, can I say this? Happiness is a good thing. I enjoy it. You enjoy it. I don't want to be a buzzkill today on your happy parade. I want to be happy. I want you to be happy. I want you to feel happy. I want you to enjoy this sermon. I want you to experience happiness. And here's the truth. God made you and I with the ability to be happy. God wants your enjoyment. But when it becomes our life's pursuit, happiness, when happiness becomes our life's pursuit, we can go all in on this pursuit and problems can arise. Happiness defined is this: a feeling of pleasure determined by circumstance. A feeling of momentary pleasure determined by circumstance. And problems can arise in our life when we live our life pursuing happiness and circumstances change. When the storm hits, when life gets hard, when the relationships end, when loneliness creeps in, when a change happens that you didn't expect, when you just can't seem to catch a break, when you didn't make the team, when you didn't get the job or the promotion, or you planned that vacation and it fell through, and things are tense at home and happiness is hard to find. When change happens, it affects our level of happiness. When your life is built up on getting happy and the hard times come, it's right then that you see, man, maybe I'm missing something. Maybe my life isn't meant to just be pursuing and chasing after happiness. Happiness is a good thing, but is it our life's goal? Today, I want to talk about joy, because it's really easy for me, maybe for you, to pursue happiness and completely miss joy. See, happiness is this feeling of pleasure that is determined by our circumstances. And joy, though it's related, is very different. See, joy is not happiness. Where happiness tends to be externally triggered and is based on other people, things, places, thoughts, and events, joy is more consistent and is cultivated internally. It can actually live in light of sadness. Joy can exist in light of anger. Joy can exist in light of shame or fear. Joy can exist in the middle of all of those other emotions. See, joy comes when you make peace with who you are, why you are, and how you are. See, we see that happiness can come and go, be lost and found, but joy has the ability to stick. Happiness is circumstantial. Joy has a depth to it that can withstand any circumstance. And joy isn't necessarily a feeling, is it? Joy is almost based on an identity that you discover, a purpose that you find. Let's define joy real quick, and then we're going to jump in together. Joy is a settled state of confidence, regardless of circumstance. Joy is a settled state of confidence, regardless of circumstance. See, joy and happiness are different. And can I say this really quick? Did you know that God is more concerned with your holiness than your happiness? God is more concerned with your wholeness, the fact that you are a whole person, a put back together person, than your circumstantial happiness, than your fleeting pleasure. God is more concerned with your joy, that you get and understand and experience this deep residing joy more than he is you feeling a moment of pleasure. God is more concerned with your holiness, your wholeness, that you would be put back together, that you would be set apart, that you would be complete and full of joy than he is your happiness, because joy is a settled, steady thing. Happiness is shaky and often fleeting, and we see Jesus talk about joy often. We see Jesus in one of his last conversations with his disciples say something powerful. He's saying, I've walked with you, I've taught you, I've lived out the ways of God among you. I've taught you the ways of the kingdom of heaven so that my joy would be in you. Because here's the reality. Life is hard. Storms will come. Circumstances will change. You will experience loss and suffering and hardship, but my joy will remain in you. Look at John 15. He says, I have told you all of these things so that my joy may be in you and your joy may be complete. Later, Jesus says, if you have joy, in John 16, he says, no one will ever take joy from you. You cannot steal someone's joy when they have it. And in a world caught up and consumed with the feeling of happiness, with this all-out, full-on pursuit to get and find happiness in our experiences, in our adventure seeking, in our relationships, in our entertainment. It's all good. God wants you to be happy. But in this world caught up and consumed with this feeling, can I ask you, have you missed joy? Have we missed joy? Do we even know what joy is, what it feels like, what it does? Is joy in you? Do you know the joy that is in you that no one can take away, that no circumstances can shake? For the rest of our time, I want to just read this verse in the book of Hebrews, and I want to make some observations about joy to help maybe reframe it for us and to define it for us, so that in this world of emotion, in these feelings to pursue and chase after things that make us feel good, we would take some courage to lean into joy, to look at joy by looking at Jesus in the book of Hebrews. So let's read this passage together really quick, and then we'll make some observations. Hebrews chapter 12, verse 2, the author writes, fixing our eyes on Jesus, the pioneer and perfecter of our faith. For the joy set before him, he endured the cross, scorning its shame, and sat down at the right hand of the throne of God. Consider Jesus, who endured opposition from sinners so that you will not grow weary and lose heart. He says, fixing our eyes on Jesus, we see that for the joy set before him, he endured the cross. Number one, some observations that we make about joy is it is a set focus. Joy is a setting of our eyes, setting our focus. Joy is a set focus. See, joy is a focus before it's a feeling. So I want to kind of talk about it like this. It's like baseball and it's like glasses. When I was little, my mom and dad signed me up for t-ball. Did you play t-ball? I played t-ball. My dad was a baseball player growing up. He wanted me to play baseball. I walked away and started playing soccer later in life. But when I was little, they signed me up. Pee Wee Valley, Little League. I had the hat, I had the jersey, I had the things. And in t-ball, they walk out the tee. They set up the tee, and then they set the ball on the tee. And your coach, your dad, your mom, everybody in the stands is all saying the same thing. What are they saying? Keep your eyes on the ball. Brent, keep your eyes on the ball. It's right there on the tee. Set this ball before you and look at the ball. And as you grow older and mature as a baseball player, and they take the tee away, and then they go to the machine pitch, and then they go to the coach pitch, and then they go to people like kids throwing balls at each other, the principle remains. Set your focus. Set your focus. Set your eyes on the ball. Let everything else around you, the noises in the stands, the internal pressure, what people are thinking, like the birds flying in the air, the cars driving by, the noises, everything else. Set all the sights and the sounds and the pressures, let it all fade away and keep your focus set, fixed on the ball. Because when we fix our eyes on the ball, you find success. You swing the bat, you hit the ball, you get a base hit, and you succeed. You find the joy of making contact. Joy is a set focus, like baseball. And it's like glasses. Now, I have 20/20 vision. I don't wear glasses, but I know several people who wear glasses. The love of my life wears glasses, and she has to go to the eye doctor every year to get her eyes checked. And they do the whole things where they put the lenses, and they're like, now, right? And Jenna needs to, in her life, has had to change her lenses to help her see words on pages, street signs, facial expressions, and she's given these different lenses to look through to help her see what is most true. By putting these glasses on, it helps her and many of you see things clearly. Joy is a set focus. The writer of Hebrews says, we set our focus on one thing. We fix our eyes on Jesus to see that he fixed his eyes on the joy that he set before him. See, joy is a focus before it is a feeling. I fix my eyes on this one thing, and it's a perspective. It's a lens to look through life, and everything else I see around me is through this set focus. I keep my eyes on the ball. I've got these glasses on. I have this lens. I keep my eyes fixed on Jesus, not comparison, not looking right or left. Not distraction, not everything else. It helps me see, and I set my focus on him. Joy is a set focus. And we see that joy is a confidence. It says Jesus, for the joy set before him, fixed his eyes on something that was more true. See, Jesus goes to the cross. He tells his friends, you're going to suffer, but I'm going to suffer many things. Jesus was arrested, mocked, betrayed, spit upon, and he had his eyes, he had this set focus on something. And it was this confidence. It was something that was more true. He was about to endure pain, endure shame, endure embarrassment, endure scorn, and he stepped up to the cross with a confidence. A confidence in what? In the truth that God is the most true thing. In a truth that God was present and was close and was comfort, that God is victory, that God was with him, that God was present, and that God would hold him up, that God's promises were true. See, joy is a set focus, and joy is a confidence that can endure any kind of pain or fear or shame or anxiety. My little girl is going to be 9 this May. And Hattie has over the past year or so has had some has these bouts with these pretty bad nightmares. I don't know if you remember having nightmares as a kid. But, we'll go to bed and we'll tuck her in and we'll pray. Specifically, we'll ask God, help her to have good dreams. And some nights, inevitably, she'll wake up in the middle of the night and she'll make her way into our room. Sometimes she'll come in screaming. She'll come in crying. Other nights, I wake up and just find her staring at me with this blank stare over me in the middle of the night. It's a terrifying thing to find a little girl just staring at you in the dead of night. But Hattie will run into our room and she'll have these nightmares and she'll just run into our bed and she's terrified. She's terrified. And as parents, we want to comfort her, right? Like you want to hold her. So we'll bring her up into our bed and we will do this thing. We'll remind her of what is most true. Have you done this as a parent? Your kid is scared or sad. And we say things like, Mom's with you, Dad's with you. We're here. We've got you. And we remind her of the confidence that she has. You're safe. We're here with you. We're protecting you. And then we'll pray together. And we'll pray these words. God, you are strong. You are powerful. You are bigger than what we're afraid of. And because you are strong, I am safe. Because, God, you are, we can be safe. We can take deep breaths. We can rest. We can relax. And when Hattie starts receiving these words, this confidence, when she starts believing these things that we're praying, that we're saying, you see this peace and this confidence that washes over her. That's joy. Joy is a confidence that no matter what comes, God is. And because God is, I am. Because God is, no matter what is done to me, no matter what is up ahead of me, I can be confident. And we see that in Jesus. God is with me. God is before all things. God is after all things. God is above all things. And God can carry me through. God can carry me through whatever is in front of me because I have this confidence. Think with me. How did Jesus endure the cross if not for joy? How could Jesus willfully endure the shame, the pain, the embarrassment, be stripped and beaten and mocked and hoisted up, nails in his hands and his feet and jeered? It wasn't for happiness. It wasn't because Jesus was on this all-out pursuit of happiness. He wasn't happy to be crucified. He didn't feel pleasure being crucified. It was because of joy. It was because of joy that Jesus endured the cross. And it was for joy that Jesus endured and overcame the cross. It was this set focus in this settled state of confidence that God is the most true thing, and what God says about me and who God is can carry me through. Even in times when I don't feel too happy, there is this joy, this focused confidence that holds us together, that held Jesus together in light of the cross. See, joy is a set focus, joy is a confidence, and joy endures and overcomes. See, joy is based on this spiritual knowledge that while the world in which we live is shrouded in darkness, God has overcome the world. Joy is based on the spiritual knowledge that while the world in which we live is dark and hard and difficult, God has overcome the world. I love that quote from Henry Nouwen. The reality is Jesus endured life's difficulties. Jesus endured the cross and took on its shame and endured it and overcame it and sat down at the right hand of the throne of God. We've already said it, but it was because of joy that Jesus endured the cross, and it was for joy that he overcame the cross. And because of the settled confidence of Jesus, because of the joy set before him, that Jesus set before him, because of that Jesus fixed his eyes on something that was more steady and more stable of this joy, he was able to endure all of these things. And it was for joy. It was so that you and I could know what joy is. It was that so you and I could know in our life where we're going to have happy times and sad times and difficult times and anxious times and afraid times, that in the middle of all of those emotions, we can have this deep residing joy, this deep residing confidence. See, Jesus took the cross took on shame, fear, anxiety, sadness, all of these emotions and all of these things on himself. And he endured and overcame it for joy, for your joy, so that you and I could know joy and so that joy would grow. Joy is a set focus. Joy is a confidence. Joy endures and overcomes all things, and joy grows. Joy grows. And joy grows when we remain connected and fixed and confident and settled and endure and overcome through Jesus. Galatians 5 says this, the fruit of the Spirit, the fruit of a life with God is love and joy and peace and patience and kindness and goodness and faithfulness and gentleness and self-control. See, joy grows as we remain connected to Jesus. This past Christmas, my youngest daughter, Isla, got this fairy garden thing from Michael's or Home Depot or Hobby Lobby or some store that the grandparents sent in the mail. And she opened it up, and it's this bowl, and it's this package of dirt, and it's these seeds of grass, and it's these little fairy figurines and unicorn figurines that she painted. And one day she said, Dad, can we do this together? And I said, this looks like a great time. And so we pulled out the dirt, we pulled out the seeds, and we pulled out the rocks, and we pulled out the glitter, and we pulled out all the things, and she painted the deals. And I read this instructions, okay, because I don't usually read the instructions, but I didn't want to mess this up. And the instructions said, make sure the seeds remain in the soil for ideal growth, okay? Like it's science, that's a deep truth. Not on the soil, not on the counter, but the seeds that we were to plant in this fairy garden that would grow grass need to remain deeply embedded in the soil. And so for a few weeks, we watched, and the seeds that we actually pressed beneath the surface of the soil started to sprout and grow grass. The seeds on top of the soil did not grow. The seeds that we dropped in the counter did not grow as well. I know that's science, it's crazy, but joy is the same way. Joy is this seed of truth, of confidence, this set focus, these glasses, this thing we set in front of us and set down deep within us, something that we receive. See, some people say on Pinterest, choose joy. It's really difficult to just try and be joyful on the spot. But joy comes from receiving a truth deep down deep within you. This deep truth that says, I am chosen. This seed of truth that says, God is bigger. This deep of truth that is rooted down deep within us, rooted in Jesus, and joy grows. The Spirit of God grows joy within us, and it overwhelms us, and it wells up within us, and it becomes fruit in our lives. See, joy grows into something that is visible to others. Do you know somebody where marked by joy? See, the joy-filled person has this set focus, this deep residing confidence no matter what comes, is able to endure and overcome life's changes and circumstances. The joy-filled person celebrates. Not like getting lit on a Thursday just to numb some of the pain or just to like say the weekend's here, but celebrates in a deep-seated celebration. This deep sense of gratitude marks them and has this ability to recognize the good things in life and to bring good things out in other people. The joy-filled person is a servant. The joy-filled person actually serves and has a deep appreciation, has compassion for other people. This is what joy does. The joy-filled person worships because they recognize who God is, what God has done, and the truth and the grace that leads us in the way of Jesus. The joy-filled person is generous and hospitable and not deterred or distracted by drama or gossip or comparison. They're not looking to the right and the left. They have this set focus. The joy-filled person looks more and more like Jesus as they remain rooted in him. Can I tell you that joy marked Jesus' life? Jesus knew how to laugh. Jesus knew how to party. Jesus knew how to call out the good in others. Jesus knew how to live life with compassion. Like, following Jesus is not boring, is not lame, is not buzzkill. It is real joy in life. Do you know this joy? Have you seen someone marked by this joy? When I think about people and examples of joy in my life, I think about Miss Jan Butler. Miss Jan lives in Louisville, Kentucky, and we got a chance to know her. She was widowed several decades ago, and watched her kids grow up and move out of the house. And she's not shy to talk about how difficult life has been. She's not shy to talk about some of the pain that she's wrestled through. And yet there is this just deep joy that just lives on her, that oozes out of her. And the way that she makes eye contact with you and the way that she speaks encouragement to you. We moved to California over almost 3 years ago now, and she still writes us handwritten notes and drops us emails. She encourages others, and she spends her life blessing other people. I see joy in Jan. I think about a young guy in our church who moved to San Luis Obispo just before the pandemic, and he had this new job that he was excited about and had some new friends, and then suddenly he found himself shut down, locked down in his one-bedroom apartment. And yet I saw joy in him. As I was preparing for this sermon, I told him, I was like, man, I recognize that if your life was built around the pursuit of happiness, of just feeling good all the time, it would have been really easy for you to have gone sideways, to get caught up, or just to maybe hit a feeling every once in a while. But you were focused, and I saw a confidence in you. I see that your faith grew through this season, that you were rooted in joy that helped you endure and overcome. I think about my dear friends Eric and Jessica, who experienced the pain of a stillborn child. It was difficult and it was hard, and yet they just oozed this deep gratitude and celebration in light of such difficulty. I think of Dennis, whose cancer has just returned, and who is like still worshiping, still loving his kids and his wife, still being a blessing to others. I think about Miss Linda, who shows up every Sunday early in the middle of her busy week and brews our coffee. I think about David and Peggy that are a part of our church who are away from family and who are walking through a difficult season in light of COVID and who just ooze joy. Do you know someone where joy marks them? Happiness, absolutely, but joy remains. Do you know somebody marked by joy? Man, it's so easy to get wrapped up and caught up in the rat race to find happiness and miss joy. And may today we see that Jesus, for your joy and my joy, like set joy before him, took on the cross my sin, my lies, my shame, my hiding. He took on all of it, all of your stuff and my stuff, and endured the cross and overcame it so that you and I could know a deep confidence that God loves us, that God has rescued us, that God has set us free. Do you know this joy? Is it in you? Can I tell you that it is available for you in Jesus? Colossians 1, we'll wrap up with this, says this. Paul writes, we pray that you'll have the strength to stick it out over the long haul. Not this grim strength of gritting your teeth, but the glory strength that God gives. It is strength that endures the unendurable and spills over into joy. Thanking the Father who makes us strong enough to take part in everything bright and beautiful that he has for us. So one of my favorite verses right here. God rescued us from dead-end alleys and dark dungeons. He set us up in the kingdom of the Son he loves so much, the Son who got us out of the pit we were in, got rid of the sins we were doomed to keep repeating. See, God invites you to a life of not just grinning and bearing it, but God invites you to a life of full joy, that your joy may be full, that you may be holy and whole and put together, and that joy would make its way deep down within you and well up in your life. Do you know that joy? Is that joy in you? Do you know Jesus? Jesus is our joy. May we fix our eyes on Jesus. May we have confidence in Jesus. May with Jesus we endure, and may with Jesus we live this life with him. Maybe today for the first time, you need to just right now, wherever you are, say, Jesus, I'm giving my life to you because I'm not even feeling happy anymore. I want this joy. If that's you, we invite you to make that decision and pray this prayer with me. God, we are thankful for this morning. You see us, you know us, and for the joy set before you, you took on the cross. You took my sin, my shame. You saw me when I was in a dark pit, and you've lifted me up, and you've set joy deep down within my heart. And because you are Lord and Savior, we receive you. We receive your mercy and your grace. We love you. It's in Jesus' powerful name we pray. Amen.